Thrills, drama, double crosses, tension, and suspense. This movie has all the makings of an action movie fanboy's wet dreams, yet it's not without its missteps. A high-octane thriller from the directorial hands of Jeffrey Rega, which stars Frank Grillo as a burnt-out getaway driver for the mob, who just so happens to be double-crossed, and it's up to him to find out why. From the opening scene to the styling throughout, it reminds you of Ryan Gosling's Drive and the late Paul Walker's Running Scared, where the narrative focuses on a shady-ish character who you don't know whether to trust or you don't know whether to feel empathetic for or just write him off as a pure criminal. I'm worried that the story may be a little deja vu inclusive as it follows those mob archetypes and narratives, but all in all, I mean, I must say Frank Grillo gives it his all. The movie is clearly designed as a vehicle to showcase him, foregoing pretty much every other actor in tow. And that lends a bit of credibility because you know, looking at it right away, he gives us all during the stunts, and he definitely will be relatable. He goes into the character where you're not sure, like I said, which angle with which to trust. The story answers that question very quickly, as the narrative lends you to see that he's just a father out doing what's right for his child or what's good for his wife. While not all of us can relate to his incarceration angle, I mean, a lot of us can definitely relate to him wanting to do whatever for a loved one, whatever for his family, whatever necessary to get by. So, should you see it? I give it a thumbs up yes, because Netflix is definitely cornering the market as far as original content and creator-driven properties. Like I said, it may feel a little bit deja vu, it may feel a little bit reductive, but all in all, you're guaranteed to have a fun time watching. I mean, the audience that I've seen it with were very live and inclusive and impact. And especially during one of the most craziest action scenes where a motorcycle driver rides into a car and slams head on, it's like tension inducing. You'll feel amped up, you'll feel an adrenaline rush watching this movie. So now I'm going to lead off into a question and answer interview that Frank Grillo just happened to do after the screening. It offers a lot of nice little tidbits into the Hollywood society as far as his acting progress. Here you go, hope you enjoy.
286. Yeah, we broke some kind of record.
I thought South Park had that record.
No, we have it.
So, Frank, I couldn't help but notice that sort of the big problem in this movie happens to be the Philly mob. So, sorry?
Guys, you have a Philly mob. I mean, I'm Italian. There's mobs everywhere.
One of the things that has really amazed me as we were talking about this movie is that you did 85-90% of the driving in this.
I did, and I don't have a license.
Maybe you shouldn't.
I'm a New Yorker, so I didn't learn to drive till I was like 30.
What was one of the craziest, what was the most difficult stunt to pull off in this? I mean, there's...
Acting? No, it was all tough. I mean, you know, we did it in 19 days. It was all nights, it was Boston. We produced it, Joe Carnahan and I produced it together with our company, and everything was pushing a rock up a hill. The whole thing was really difficult.
I mean, it's amazing. The camera does not leave the car in some fashion for the first hour of the movie. So
yeah.
You're in every scene, it's always on your face. Wow. Talk a little bit about the difficulties of acting with a phone with a camera in your face for an hour.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's a commitment. It's a scary thing because I'm not a movie star. So it's like, you know, it's like, okay, people have to take a chance with me, you know? And, you know, the guy reading on the other line is not the actor. I was reading with some reader who just was kind of reading like this. So I had to make believe a lot and understand where I was in the piece at all times. But it was all very difficult. It really was. I mean, I was exhausted when we were finished. I was supposed to go do another movie, and I had to actually pull out of the film. And I almost got sued, and because I really had to go home and rest.
We were sitting out there and heard this massive reaction. I'm assuming it's when the motorcycle crashed into the back of the car.
So by the way, so the guy's following me like we do the test run, and the kids follow me on the motorcycle, and the windows of the car were open, and he hits the Prius. And it was supposed to be on jacks, so it was supposed to move up a little so he could roll, and it didn't work. So he hit the car, and all I heard was his life leave his body. And he hit the ground, and I went, and that's what you see in the movie. I didn't break character. I was like, I can't stop because if he's not dead, then they're gonna yell at me. So he laid on the ground for like 45 minutes. I wouldn't get out of the car because I don't like dead bodies. But he was okay, thank God. And we kept that shot. That's the shot. That's me really reacting to me thinking he's dead. I was going home. I would be, that was it. That's the end. That's right.
And Wheelman didn't care either. He just kept driving.
Yeah, it was a little sad for a second.
But you stayed in the car.
I'm staying in the car. It's safe.
So tell us a little more about this guy, because I know you made yourself sort of a backstory, filled in the blanks of this character who we don't know a lot about.
You know, I grew up in the Bronx in New York, and you know, there were a lot of hustlers. A lot of guys were hustlers when they were young. I thought they were cool. What's that? Philly. Hustlers. You know, I thought they were cool guys, you know, but as they got older, they were less and less cool. They became kind of losers, and a lot of them did end up in jail. And then you get out of jail, and you're like, you know, in your late 40s, early 50s, and it's like, what am I doing? There's nothing to do with your life. And that's kind of who this guy was, you know, and the only one good thing in his life was that he had a kid, and he wanted, you know, to me the story's a father-daughter story. I have 3 kids, so that was the connective tissue for me at all times. So that, you know, that's what I kept in my head. I just want to get out of this so I can be with my kid.
You've been at this a long time now. One of my favorite things is that one of your first TV gigs was a show called Silk Stockings.
Oh yeah, I played a dance.
Shout out to Silk Stockings, USA.
I played a stripper. But even back then, I was committed. I went and I learned how to dance, and I did the whole thing, and I pulled my hands off, and my father was humiliated.
His name's Franco LaPuma.
Franco LaPuma! I love that guy. I wonder where he is.
I don't know if this is one of those Wikipedia says type things, but was your first gig a Miller Genuine Draft commercial?
Well, I did like 75 commercials. I was the Coors Light guy. So I lived in Mexico for like 5 months, and I did like 40 commercials down in Mexico. Yeah, with like 95 models. That was my life when I was 22 or 24 years old, whatever. Yeah, it's tough. Yeah. Yep.
But now you've just, in the last 5, 6, 7 years,
Yeah.
made it big, and now you're...
Since Warrior, the
Yeah.
movie Warrior, I don't know if anybody's ever seen it. Oh, okay. So nobody saw it when it came out. But since that film, I think it changed the course of my career a bit, and a lot. And so that was, I think, 2010 or 9 or something. So yeah, and then I had to, you know, I'm old, and I always say I'm really great friends with Liam Neeson. We did a movie called The Gray together, and I keep telling him, you have to retire so I can do what you do.
It just must be so rewarding to have really put in the work for years and years and prove that if you do that, you can get your break.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I've been a man longer than I've been an actor. The problem with actors, I think, today in Hollywood who do the kind of movies that, you know, we like, is that they were actors before they were men, so they kind of make believe they're men when they're acting. Does that make any sense?
Yes.
So I'm like, okay, it's a good movie, but I don't believe that guy. I mean, you know, come on, I don't believe him. So, you know, the movies that we want to make are the movies I loved in the 70s with Charles Bronson and McQueen and those kind of guys. And Liam Neeson. That was the template, the movie Bullet. What's that?
The Gray. You say Liam Neeson, The Gray.
The Gray, that's, you know, he's my guy. Yeah, how many people saw Taken? Right? I mean, it's a simple movie. It's a guy trying to save his kid, you know, and he's a regular guy. I mean, he's 6'9", but whatever, he's a regular guy. And a good actor, you know, he's believable.
Well, we have a really great audience here, so I'm going to open it up to questions. This guy all the way in the back has his hand up the whole time. Go for it.
Alright, this is not related to either one of these, but it's gonna come back to this.
Okay.
First question is, were you given a script to The Purge before word you got the script to Marvel for Marvel to come in? Or did you already was working on the Purge and then Marvel just said, you know what, we like it. You look
No. I did a movie called Ray, and then I did a movie called End of Watch. And Joe Russo called me and he said, listen, I might be directing a Captain America movie. And I gotta be honest with you, I never really saw any of those movies. And I said, okay. He goes, hang tight, I'm gonna send you the script. We're gonna fly you to Atlanta to test screen at some point. And like 6 months went by. And then they flew me down and I screen tested like 5 guys, all of who you know, and they didn't get it and I did. Ha ha. And then when did it? So then the Purge came after that. The Purge, and then the Purge. When DeMonico came to me for Purge Anarchy, I said, I love this. I didn't see the first one, but can we make him Clint Eastwood? And he said, yeah. Yeah. I said, let's cut all the dialogue out and just make him really cool.
Now, last thing.
I love this guy. You know what? I'm taking you to dinner.
I'm gonna hold you to that. But last thing, everybody else can have the floor after this. Now, recently, within this New York Comic Con,
Yeah.
got a quote from you, but not a quote. Heard that Crossbones coming back, but not coming back. But I just heard something. Now,
I know. I keep hearing.
Is that true or not true?
I mean, I keep hearing all kinds of things. I haven't heard.
This from your mouth.
I'll tell you right now. I was
I
just.
got it on IG and then walk right now.
No, I was.
I got it on
Will you let me talk? You're like my wife. Did she send you here?
IG, so I guess I am.
I'll tell you what. I was just in Atlanta 3 days ago. Marvel flew every character in every movie to take a photo because it's their 10th anniversary. And nobody mentioned anything to me about Crossbones. So there you have it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, see, right here, sir.
So, I'm unfamiliar with Jeremy Rush. This seems to be an early film for him. I wonder how you got tied up with this director, with this script.
Great question. I'll tell you why you never heard of Jeremy Rush. Does everybody know what a PA is on a movie set? It's a production assistant, right? Guy who knocks on the actor's door, makes sure everybody gets to set. It's the lowest guy in the totem pole, right? He's 39 years old. 13 years he's knocking on actors' doors, jerks like me who say, I'll be out in a minute. And he's writing scripts, right? He sends a script to Joe Carnahan, unsolicited, who's my partner, who made The Gray and Smoking Aces and some great movies, Narc. And Joe read it and gave him some notes, and they started a dialogue. And Joe at some point said, read this, tell me what you think. I said, we should make this, you and I should make this together. And we met with Jeremy, and we brought it to CAA, our agents, who brought it to Cannes, and in a week, Netflix bought it. In a month and a half, this kid who was knocking on doors was directing this movie. So that's the story of Wheelman, like the perseverance, like don't give up, you know? And now he's being courted for like I Am Legend 2, you know? But his wife would tell him over and over, don't stop. So there you have it. And this is his first movie.
Yes, we're done.
Yes. First off, I want to give a big shout out to you all the way back from the day as Hart Jessup on God and Life.
Yeah, man. Hart Jessup never wore a shirt.
So, how was it being on the set with your wife? Was she happy that Wendy Moyes? Was she happy that she didn't get a bigger part, rather? Or
No. The last 3 years I had a show on DirecTV called Kingdom, and in the second season, Wendy came on as my love interest, so she worked with me for like 9 episodes. We had a ball, but we were sitting around just doing script work, and obviously it wasn't really a role; it was a voice. And I said, "Whose better voice to yell at me and for me to argue with than my wife of 20 years? Her." So I said, "You have to do this," and she said, "Okay, I'll do it." Yeah.
Right here, sir.
Hi. So you've been doing many action films over the years, and I was just wondering because both PG-13 and R are very different environment violence-wise. I'm just thinking, as an actor, how does your performance differ from like a PG-13 movie
268 F-bombs?
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's kind of fun to be able to do movies like this because, guys like that talk like that. I'm around them all the time. And, basically when you're an actor, you just got to serve the script. So whatever world it's in, whether it's PG-13, you don't even think of it that way. You just think, well, it's a softer version of who I am, So you kind of follow, it's your job to follow the script. And you don't think about it. But when you do this, it's fun. I mean, even my show Kingdom on television was a hard R. I mean, there was nothing we couldn't say. In fact, I would sometimes say things, and then I'd look over and go, can I say this? And they're like, yeah, say whatever you want. Times have changed since I was a kid, in the 1800s.
Yeah, wait in the back. There you go. Yes, you, sir.
Okay. Sorry. By the way, you're a badass as hell. As a man, I'm running down.
Take your time.
I love a good film. Like, as an actor, how does that make you feel like, you're doing all this and then you're probably just like on the outside and you're hearing like these awesome reactions as a film? Because you come up as a cool dude, like, no lie. I'm just like really curious, like, what does that make you feel as an actor, knowing that you just made something, you're acting in something, and on top of that, you produced it, and it's just badass as hell?
That's a great question. I love your enthusiasm, and I am bad at no. No, you know what? No, you're right. I'm gonna tell you why. Because I have kids, right? I have 3 sons, and it's like that. It's like, so we had this idea that we'd make this movie, and it starts like an embryo, and so we go along the stages. Making movies is not an easy thing. It's not, even for big directors. It's hard to get a movie going, and somehow the movie gods shined upon us, and every step of the way we kept getting further and further until Netflix came in and said, go make the movie. And to watch you guys, to listen to the audience react, and for you to be so positive about it, I can't tell you how that touches me. I mean, it really, I'm not a movie star. I'm a working guy. And so this is fun for me. I mean, I'm so happy that you like the movie, man. It makes me really happy.
One thing I also gotta say, you just inspired me to act my ass off, because this is my baby, and she knows for a fact I've been loving to act ever since I was a little boy.
That's
really inspired.
Oh, that's beautiful, man. And like I said about Jeremy Rush, if you believe in yourself, don't stop.
You are my boy!
Yeah! I'm gonna buy you dinner too.
I like that! Hey, now I'm going like we double date. Hey, cool, man. And look, one last thing. How did it feel like to talk greasy to Captain America? Like, he's super... You talk greasy to Mr. America. How did that feel?
The Netflix show, yeah, I can talk about it.
Because not only is Frank super badass, but he's filming a Netflix show where he's fighting people around the world.
So,
seriously.
yeah, so I'm doing something for Netflix. I'm a big fan of Anthony Bourdain. I don't know if everybody knows him. So I did a movie in China, and I was training, I was boxing and doing jiu-jitsu, and I had this idea, because I always make friends in the gyms, and they stay my friends, and so I said to Netflix, I want to do what Bourdain does, but I want to embed myself in whatever the fight culture is, and then explain the place for the fighters, because the brotherhood of fighting has no race, there's no religion, it doesn't matter what you are. If you're a fighter, you're a fighter. And they said yes, so then I had to do it. So I've been to Brazil. I've been training jiu-jitsu for 20 years. I've been to Brazil with the Gracie family. I was in Mexico City with Nacho Beristain and Julio Cesar Chavez. I was in Africa with these beautiful Senegalese wrestlers. They're like 6'8". They're beautiful, studly men. It makes you feel very small. I went to Thailand for Muay Thai. I went to a place called Myanmar. So now I've been traveling and continuing this kind of world that I live in, which is fighting and making movies like this. So it's all part of the same thing.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, miss, right here.
Frank, you did a lovely job. I loved the movie.
Thank you.
When you go back home, tell New York how Philly treated you and how we showed you love.
Oh, I love Philly.
And can you sign off?
Yes. And I've been to Philly a lot. I love Philly. I do. It's Boston I'm not crazy about. I'm a New Yorker. You can't, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I love the movie. It was dope. And The Watch is one of my favorite movies in a long time.
Oh, thanks.
But in addition to the Netflix series, what are some other movies you got in the works?
Well, Joe Carnahan and I are doing a movie. We're remaking a movie called The Raid, which is cool. Yeah, which is he's better than my mother. I'm about to go do a movie called Donnybrook, which is based on a novel. It's kind of like Mad Max. It's really badass. And then I'm going to go do a movie called Decoy with Andy Garcia. And just keep doing my thing, you know, to just keep making movies.
Yes, the young lady right here in the middle. Yes.
Besides the motorcycle little incident, was there any other time where you went off script or something else happened that you liked better than the script, so you decided to keep it in?
You know, the script was so good, and we, you know, Joe and I and Jeremy Rush worked very hard to get it to a place. When we started shooting, it was perfect because we didn't have a lot of time. So what you see, there's not very much improvisation. So what you see me saying is what was written. Yeah.
Yes, right here.
Have you ever worked with Gene Hackman and Will Smith?
No, I have not worked with either. I know Will Smith a little bit, but I am a huge Gene Hackman. Those are my idols, like the Gene Hackmans and the Hoffman, Dustin Hoffman. And
somebody just sing Christmas Time.
What's that?
Somebody just sing Christmas Time. Will Smith and Gene Hackman.
Are you drinking? Is this one of those theaters that serves alcohol? Because I only had coffee.
Partner and I consulted on Gene Hackman's movie, Enemy of the State. And I built most of the electronic.
Oh, that's cool.
That movie.
Yeah.
And it was a pretty good movie. I couldn't just some of the stunts that they were pulling, running through the tunnels in Baltimore and stuff.
Right.
But one more question: where do you get those magazines that never run out of bullets?
No, those magazines, actually, it was accurate. That magazine had like 36 bullets.
30 rounds.
Yeah.
30 rounds. It seemed like you shot a lot more than
It
30.
did, didn't it?
Yeah.
Did you count the bullets? I break my butt, and that's what you do? You count bullets? Okay, you're not getting dinner.
I see him right here, sir.
So, Frank.
What's up?
Alright, so what was the process like for you getting and finding work early in your career?
There wasn't anything I wouldn't do. So I was lucky enough to like do these commercials and make a bunch of money, so I didn't have to wait tables, which a lot of my friends had to do. And you know, nobody was guiding me, so I took a soap opera right out of college, pretty much, and I worked on a soap opera for 3 years, and then struggled to kind of wash that off me. And you know what it is? It was a lot of ups and downs and a lot of no's. And again, just to repeat myself, just believing that there was a place for me, not to be a movie star, but a place for me to make a living and just keep at it, you know? Because it's something I said. I feel bad when people leave. No, I'm kidding.
We're taking one more. This guy right here in the middle. Yes, sir.
Frank, this was an amazing movie.
Well, thank you.
Loved it. So I have a question for you about playing different characters. The character in here is obviously he was a criminal, but it seems like he's trying to do better, be a better person. You played criminals in other movies. One movie that I really like is Homefront, where you played this biker guy.
Yeah.
So my question is, what if you play a character who's a person you really would like in real life, like total jerk?
Great
How do you
question.
approach that as an actor?
Yeah, that's a great question. And in drama school, you learn early on, you never judge the character. So you don't go into it saying, oh, I just read this script and this guy's bad, so that I'm bad, right? Because people don't, you know, unless you're a crazy sociopath. I mean, so you have to approach it, and especially like with that, where there's a crazy biker, maybe he's a sociopath, but you have to find some humor, and you have to find the humanity in what he's doing, and never judge him, and just realize that, okay, maybe he had a bad childhood. It's not his fault. Like, you know, maybe universally he wants to be loved, but nobody loves him. So you approach it in a way that's more human, and this way you don't have cardboard characters. Because as soon as I decide that I'm a bad guy, I'm going to play it like I'm a bad guy. And we've all seen those movies.
One more. One more.
Nope, sorry guys, I said one more. I gotta cut it off.
No,
Thank you for coming
give him
back.
one more. Come on.
Your publicist is shaking her head at me.
How many hours in the car going to film in this movie?
did what they call French hours because we couldn't be running out of darkness. So it was 10 hours. So I would stay in the car probably 8 hours a night. Yeah. I'm a badass.
Is that it?
Guys, again, I can't thank you enough, and I really thank you. You guys are awesome. Billy, yeah.
If you like the movie, tell people on social media. Netflix next Friday.
My kids are hungry, so please.
Thanks for watching my very first movie review. As for my Upstart channel, Spinning Reels, and FYI, any first thoughts I have will eventually be labeled first thoughts. Since this is a spoiler-intensive review, I'll label it spoiler alert, just to give you a fair warning if you don't want to be ruined by any of the movie surprises. So, I hope you enjoyed this review as much as I did. Hopefully I'll be expanding my scope in the near future, bringing you a little bit more movie review insight, as far as, you never know, games, music, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. So, with that being said, feel free to offer any comments or feedback below. Let me know, do you feel like checking out The Wheelman? Will you check it out? What do you think of Frank Grillo's acting? And also, leave me any topics that you might want to discuss further in any future reviews. Thanks.